The Avios King Twin 1700, the flaps. I installed hinges and got the servos connected. I say they're working pretty good. Let me show you guys how I did this. The Avios King Twin 1700 RC airplane. I added pinned hinges to each one of the split flaps. And now I think we just need to put a little touch-up paint over the area where we epoxied in the hinges, and then we'll connect the servos and the linkage rods, and we'll see the flaps in action. And after that, all I need to do is put some polyacrylic clear coat on this center wing section, and it'll be done. So I say we get a little touch-up paint out and get the servo tester and a battery, and let's do all that. So hey, sit tight. If you want to win a jet like this, all you have to do is subscribe. Click the like button and leave a comment. And then ring the bell so you don't miss my next video. At 1,000 subscribers, we gave this jet away. At 5,000, we're going to give another one. I don't know what it is yet. We'll see when that time comes. So hey, subscribe guys. Happy flying. Okay, so this is the center wing section of the Avios King Twin, and each one of these are flaps. They're called split flaps, and I added pinned hinges to go along with the factory pinched hinge, and I just did it because we're modeling with our planes. Plus, the pinched hinge is eventually going to wear out. Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. What happens to something when you do that enough? It breaks in half. So, I just cut a couple little slits. I inserted these pinched hinges in the right spot. A little two-part epoxy. Now, I'm just going to put a little white paint to cover up the marks where the epoxy is. And then we'll connect the servos up. And we'll see the hinges in action here. There's a couple little spots where the epoxy, kind of dribbled out or something. I might try to cut it off with an X-Acto blade. But other than that, they're hinging back and forth real nice. And then this section of the plane is done. I still need to either glue this strip down or figure out something. I don't want to glue it down where when I need to access the servo wires, I'm going to have to, take a razor blade and conduct surgery to get in there. But I also don't need them flapping around in the wind either. So maybe I'll just put glue, something like that, or I'm gonna figure something out. But all the wires for the landing gear and all the servos or for the ailerons and the flaps and the lights, all that is running right down the center here. And I just got Scotch tape holding it down now. So here's a shot of what's under that decorative strip. So I'll figure something out. But we got a little bit of white gloss paint from the old dollar store. I think these little things of paint from the dollar store they're 50 cents, I think, or Walmart they're 50 cents. Go in there and grab you a bunch of them, or grab one or two every time you go to Walmart, and pretty soon you get a lot of colors. Then you can get creative in these little mixing boards, and you can try to match up paint to your plane, mixing this color and that color, and trying to get the perfect match if you need to do a little touch up. So we got a little gloss white here. I'm not worried about getting real precise. I'm just worried about covering up the the yellow epoxy color. These glue marks will look really good at 100 feet up in the air. They look really good as high as a Chinese spy balloon is. When I get to the other side, I'll get a razor blade or something and cut off a little bit of the drippings. There's a couple spots that there's some pretty big runs or gobs. I'll show you. Since I got the paint out, we'll check the other side. I've already painted the other side, but just in case I missed a spot or two. Painting's fun because you don't like the instant gratification when it's done. Like, oh, look what I did. Kind of like landscaping. Landscaping sucks until the bushes are grown or the flowers have bloomed. But landscaping with like sod, that's instant gratification. Well, you put down some sod, grass, and like bam, the yard's done. Alright, we'll call that good. I'm going to get a razor blade and then we'll flip it over. Alright, I got me a hobby knife, and they're just a couple little glue balls or whatever. They probably really don't matter. That one I'm going to leave on there. I'm afraid I'm going to do more damage than what it's worth. It really does, that's as far as it's gonna flap, and that little glue ball is not even getting close to rubbing, so we're just gonna leave that guy alone. The paint really doesn't matter back here anyways. Alright, that's it. So I'm going to get my servo tester out and clean this paint up, and then we'll connect all this linkage. Before we flip it over and connect the linkage to the flaps, just wanted to show you guys the difference that this polyacrylic clear gloss made right there. Clear gloss. The difference in the cowls. The one on the left has been done in the polyacrylic, and the one on the right hasn't. A big difference if you're looking for a shiny look. Now, some of you guys have said, and I didn't know this, that this comes in an aerosol spray can. And a lot of people said, how come you're not using that? Well, number one, I didn't know it existed. Number two, I live in a condo. I don't have a garage or a backyard or anything. I've got a deck, but I've got to be careful of the neighbors and cars in the area. And plus, right now it's like 35 degrees outside. So I've just been using this, and this quart container has probably covered 8 planes. And it's probably got a quarter of it left in there. So it goes a long ways. And I just use the little sponge brushes, and I'll show you one. These guys right here, and you can use them and throw them away, or being that this is a water-based, If you want to take the time, and I have done it, you can wash these out in warm water and then let them dry, and they're fine. You can use them again. All right, so I flipped it over and shoved a little piece of a moving blanket. As you can see, I got a bunch of those. Use it for tablecloths here, and when they get gooey and stuff from drops of paint or glue or whatever, just throw them away, or I cut the bad section out, and then I got a piece to roll up to put under this. I forget where I got these. No, I got these when I was moving my mom. I think they came in a pack of 3 at U-Haul for maybe $10 or something. And I'm repurposing them. So I just put an extension on the Y harness that's going to the 2 flap servos. Before we connect them, we'll watch them in motion and just see where they're centered. And I don't know if these need to be centered, you know. They only move one way in your flap configuration. So just depending on the linkage rod, we could either have the servo centered, and if it moves far enough in one direction to do, a half flap and a full flap or whatever, then we can do that. Or maybe it will need to start at like -50, and then like 0 would be half flap and +100 would be full flap, because we can set all that up in the transmitter. But anyways, we'll see their range of motion right now. So I'm going to set my servo tester to neutral, and I just plugged in the flap servo. So this one's centered. The servo horn or arm is 90 degrees to the servo. This one over here is 90 degrees as well. So I'm going to put the servo tester to manual now, and now I can operate the servo with the servo tester. So let's see how far the range is, or how far we want to go rather. Like that's as far as it can go before the servo arm is starting to hit the foam, and it's starting to get, just too far. So let's go back and loosen up this set screw right here. All right. So if that's about as far as we want it to go, this is a pretty neat idea here. How they got these servo rods just bent where they can operate both hinges for each flap. That one was clicked. There we go. Well, it makes it tough to, there we go, tough to open and close the clip. Alright, so trying to straighten them out here. I'm physically unscrewing the clevis in order to keep these rods bent, how they are now. So if we got the servo as far as it will go. Let's see, I was backwards. So if that's as far That's about as far as I want the servo to go in that direction. And that would operate the flaps. I got myself confused because it's upside down. So if that's going to be a full flap right there, and that's about as far as the servo can travel. We'll tighten that up gently. Alright, so that'll be like a full flap. So when we put the servo back to center, when I put the servo back to center, then it's still like a half flap configuration. So we're going to have to use the full range of motion of the servo, just like I was talking about. It's going to have to, in order to get like no flap, that's probably ballpark no flap, right around in there. The servo horn is not 90. It's going to be more like negative 50 or something. Because right there is centered, and that's giving it some flap. I'll tell you what, I'm going to flip it over. Alright, so right there, and these aren't, final adjustments. This is just for us to see how they operate with the hinges. So right there is like no flap. And when I look underneath, the servo is not centered. The servo is, God, maybe like 70% or something. So we'll have to use the full travel of the servo. So like no flap in the transmitter might be like negative 50. And then a half flap might be like positive 20. And a full flap will be a positive 100. There's your full flap. But they're operating good with these hinges. With these hinges, I say they work awesome. So I say the hinges came out really good. I'll do all the final adjustments when we do the radio setup. But you know what's not necessary but would be cool? That right there. That would be kind of cool. What if you only wanted a real half flap? You'd only operate, one portion of it. You'd have to have a 16-channel transmitter, or get two servos that are reversed in the direction of this servo. Who knows what direction that one is, but this one would have to be the opposite direction if you were to mount it like that, and then just tie the two servo leads together. Like in a sense, it'd be a Y harness right here. But you could cut the wire really short. You could just do a solder joint. But you got room to carve the foam out, and there's enough room to mount that servo, and then the servo horn could be facing the opposite direction. And being that they're already set up on these double wires and all that, that was just a thought. Just something kind of cool. All right, guys. Hey, we're going to call these hinges success. Okay, guys. Hey, that's all I got for this one. So I hope everybody's enjoying the weekend. I hope some of you guys are actually able to go out and fly. I almost thought I could today. Today's Saturday, the 4th, I believe. I looked at my indoor-outdoor thermometer here in Middle Tennessee, and it said like 58 degrees or something, and it was around 1 p.m. And I said, oh, man, let's get some batteries. Well, batteries was the outdoor portion of my thermometer. It was stuck on I don't know, a reading that it must have got several hours prior, or it was picking up the dryer steam. I don't know, but it was off by about 10 degrees. So I put new batteries in it, and I'm still waiting for it to connect, but it was nowhere near that temperature. It was definitely much colder. So no flying. Well, I hope you guys are. So hey, subscribe if you haven't, and give me a thumbs up, leave a comment. Comment goes a long ways. And do this guy right here. Ring the notification bell so you don't miss my next video. That's the best way to support what I do. Alright guys, hey, thank you. And until next time, you'll see me here. Right here.